All right, back for another show. Welcome back. We are doing what seems now our we can't call it annual because we're going to be having, doing this every season. We play more than one per season, but we're doing our normal draft review and season predictions for 2K season 3, the last season before an extended break because War Machine does not believe in Tecmo over the summer. So without further ado, as always, I have War Machine on the line with me. If you guys ever seen the intern or the internship on the line, whatever. Anyway, War Machine, welcome, buddy. How you doing?
What's going on, Hoff? Happy St. Patty's Day to all you guys out there. Hope you guys had a great day. And end the night with some draft talk, season predictions. We got some streams coming later for HSTL. I think there may be a Thunderdome stream coming a little bit later as well. So I'm excited to be here as always, Hoff, and I appreciate you taking the time to bring me on here and talk about 2K.
Yeah. So for the record, for what am I doing here? Oh, so for the record, I will be, just so everyone knows, streaming Stall Talk at Madtown Split Stars in HSTL division around playoffs immediately following this whenever we get done. Usually we run about 2 hours, so I'm guessing around 10:15, 10:30. But just throwing that out there. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on tonight. Happy St. Patty's Day, although at least in Rochester, New York, we call it Parade Day is more important than St. Patty's Day. So basically, what that means is that the Saturday where the parade is always the big drunken debauchery day, not actually St. Patty's Day like today. So everyone is all hungover today, except those people who just never stopped drinking, stayed up all night, and kept drinking. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, for sure. So I think before we get into season three, I kind of want to just talk a little bit about season two. The Super
Over today, except
Bowl
those
was a few
people who
nights
just never stopped
ago.
drinking, stayed up all night.
Unfortunately for you, Hoff, I know it's been a difficult couple of days losing the Super Bowl. We want to give player his props for Bowl. From start to finish. He had the best team. He had the best season. He only lost one game all season. He had a really great defense, his greatest, but he was able to hang and win a lot of close games throughout the regular season and the playoffs. So player, he's a great guy. I'm happy for him to win a title. Either way, whether you won or he won, so player, congrats. I think you deserve all the credit. Great draft. I know that you were in that game, and it was a close game for a while. Then there were some bullshit that I think you want to you want to talk about a little bit. So I'll let you vent away for a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, dude, all the credit to player for sure. Like, you know what? That's great. I'm happy for him. Juggernaut team, whatever. But I will say it. I mean, the couple of things that pissed me off clearly were the goal line play. Great play pick by him. But I mean, I picked run three simply because I knew that if I picked any play in the whole playbook that I had, any play that I picked, run three was the one that was most likely that if it got picked, I would still score with a 69 fucking MS running back because Le'Veon Bell wasn't good. However, clearly that was not in the cards, and that's not what happened, and that kind of changed the whole thing. And then, unfortunately, even when the game was kind of out of hand, I was driving, and then Bell got hurt. So, I mean, my best offensive weapon. I mean, everyone knows it's been very chronicled that Eli Manning and Brock Osweiler suck. So I mean, without Bell, my team was just kind of trash, and what happened the rest of the game kind of proved that my team was trash. So, but Brock overthrowing Rudolph there at the bottom on the missed JJ turned to a pick really sucked too. I mean, I had a small sliver there at the end. If I had gotten that player to onside and actually recovered it and somehow scored and tied the game, I probably would have lost it. Much like I did to Meggett when I beat Diaz, Old Dirty Tecmo, in the HSTL playoffs when I made it to the AFC Championship game against Tecmo Bowl with Jack fucking Trudeau. So anyway, serious props to player though, great team, but I really feel like that game was within my grasp, and it just a couple of things didn't go my way. So, but dude, honestly, great season. 14, one loss the whole season on a prayer JJ or whatever it was against Arn. Great job.
Yeah, I think really like when Bell went down, you had all the momentum. I think you were down by a touchdown, I want to say, and I think you got injured on the first play. I think right after the interception, that really doomed you. I think so. You put up a valiant effort. I think it was a great game for a while there, and then it just Tecmo sort of took over. So again, player, congrats, Hoff, also for you. I mean, starting off 0-5, and then finishing as strong as you did, going through the opponents you did in the playoffs and when with their teams. I think a lot of credit goes to you as well. So congrats to the both of you.
Yeah, second season in a row. I actually started 0-6 last season. It just seems to be my MO where I start crappy and then finish strong. So I don't know what my hopefully this season, crossing fingers, I can actually maybe play well from the get go. But regardless, but thanks, I appreciate that, and congratulations again, player. We'll see what you can do. Uh, in the second the Triple A big boy division. We're not going to if we call platinum the major leagues, we'll call gold the Triple A division.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into the draft review, I do have some important reminders and information that I just want to quickly go over for the guys listening in. The ROMs drop tomorrow around 6 p.m. Eastern. Get your alignments in. I'm not going to drop them any sooner. So if you have to wait, up until the last minute, that's fine. I'm not going to drop them any sooner. As Hoff had mentioned earlier, season 3 will be the last season before we have our extended break. But after season 3 completes, we're going to have the War Games tournament. And then after that's over, we'll have the break, hopefully for about 2.5 to 3 months. And then season 4 will kick off in September with new ratings. And we'll hopefully have a nice little break, get refreshed, and get back to playing some Tecmo. And then one last plug: I put up a post on T-Borg just to get some feedback from you guys as far as any improvements, any ideas you guys may have for future seasons. I value your opinions. I'd like to hear from you to see what worked, what didn't work, and we'll try to improve on them for seasons to come. So if you don't recall where that is, it's on the forums. It's on the main 2K page, somewhere in the list there.
Swell.
Right.
Oh, for the record,
And
two quick things. If I think I play Swift, Madtown, and Gats first. So if you guys want to roll tonight, preseason drop, let me know. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, sounds good. So just to give everybody a quick update where we are with the War Games tournament. So again, remember it's going to be in the May through June timeframe. As soon as we finish season 3, we're going to get going with it. We'll hype it up. We'll have a podcast to go through it. I think it's going to be fun having all the good teams in there and battling out for the grand prize. So here's just who's qualified so far. And then on the right hand side, qualified. So right now, I think we're at 16 teams that have qualified so far. Barletti, Mac, and Metal Dug, and Zer are the only 4 who have not. So you guys have to make the playoffs this year. We're going to have another War Games qualifier right before. So, attorney, given that it's only open qualified, chance you don't make qualified multi-team. One benefit to choose which team you want to use. As if you only qualified with one team, then that's the team that you're going to be stuck with in the tournament.
So just for those of you who couldn't understand him because he was a little garbled there because of must be a connection issue. Long story short, the 4 guys who haven't qualified have to make the playoffs to qualify. If they don't make the playoffs, he's still going to do a mini tournament for you guys where, let's say all 4 of you don't make the playoffs, one of you will win that tournament and make it in. So at least one of you is going into the War Games tournament, and then maybe all of you if you all make the playoffs, depending. And then obviously, I doubt there will be a War Games tourney, qualifying tourney, if you all somehow make the playoffs. So just getting that out there in case you guys didn't understand because it was a little messed up there. Just quick question, Ward,
Yeah.
for everybody that's listening: are we going to run this War Games tournament concurrently with the season 3 playoffs, or are we going to wait till playoffs are fully done before we start the tourney?
Yeah, it's going to be after the tournament, after the season 3 playoffs are finished. So once it was complete, we'll get going with the tournament immediately right after.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, good to know. So there's going to be some
Yeah,
sitting around for the guys who don't make the playoffs. So don't lose interest because obviously almost all of you are playing in the tournament. So
yeah, for sure. And I'm not sure what's going on with the volume and like the feedback there that we're getting from my line. So Hoff, you may have to take over, I guess, most of the talking. If it continues to act this way, I'm not sure what else to do really.
sure.
All right, here we go. So let's start off with the bronze. Just like last season, we start off the bronze. We got Barletti. Drake made his way back into the bronze division. Big Red and the Mac and Middle Doug. So without further ado, we're going to see who I predicted to finish uh, in last place first. All right, I'm going with Middle Doug. So Middle Doug had a tough season too. It was his first season in 2K. He went 2-12. So as like last season, we have the Brew auto rating at the bottom right hand side. So you can see where you stacked up overall in the automated ratings that BrewDog spits out. It's a quick and dirty way of him just evaluating which team had the best draft. So he came in third place with in the overall rating. Probably benefited by Aaron Rodgers, obviously being the 75 PC QB. Looking at his offense, Juju Schuster, fast receiver. Crabtree gives him some hands. He has a Rams offensive line. The one thing that I want to ding him with is the running back. He only has a 38 MS running back. So it's kind of going to be like OG Miami, without much of a running game. And then on defense, he has the one DB in Tramon Williams, who's solid, 50 RP, 56 interception, and then some solid drones at DB and linebacker. So my main focus really was the fact that he struggled a bit in this league. His team is obviously third in the overall rating, so his team is solid. I kind of wish he had a better receiver to go with Rodgers, maybe somebody with higher reception. That's the only maybe nitpick I have, as well as a running back. But overall, I think he has a solid team. But I think in the division, I like the other teams a little bit better. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that I don't know. I mean, looking because I kind of took a quick look at all the teams, and I don't know how Brew's rating does its third overall. To be honest with you, I mean, Rodgers has to be a big part of that. But I mean, and I'm not. I'm being honest. I'm not looking at the draft. So obviously, if the third overall rating, I mean, your prediction is reflective of just obviously Middle Dog's kind of new and maybe just still getting his beak wet and figuring out how to play in the league. But I fully concurrently agree with you in a couple of things. One, I don't like how he doesn't have at least a 44 MS running back. Two, I wish he had a lights out wide receiver to pair with Rodgers so he could just kind of, back and beat it a bit because that's what Rodgers is like. While 69 PS isn't perfect for that, with a 75 PC, he could do some work with that. And then three, why? I mean, he doesn't need the offensive line of the Rams when you don't have a running back. So I don't necessarily know about that Rams offensive line pick. What else was available for him to take that would have been more useful, like a good wide receiver or 44 RP, or another linebacker or whatever. Because I don't. Is Demario Davis? Is he 38 RS? Is he 31 RS? Because obviously if he's only 31, he's not lurchable. So it's kind of like what are we kind of doing there? So I mean, I understand. I mean, obviously Brew's rating is quick and dirty, but to me, I mean, just if you're going to take Rodgers first, you got to build your team around him. I just don't necessarily see that here personally.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Demario Davis is 31 RS. So I think where he took the Rams is when that offensive line run had occurred, where everybody was just afraid of getting Houston. I think where he made the mistake was I think the pick that he took Crabtree. I think he could have taken a 44 MS running back. And then when it came all the way back to him in the following round, I think the last 44 MS running back went right to Rockman right before him. So he just barely missed out on the 44 MS running back. But yeah, if he had a 44 MS running back, I think this team would have probably finished a lot higher in my eyes. I mean, people could just stack up against the pass, and he's not going to have that much CC ability without like the high reception guy.
Well, I mean, and that's my thing too. It's like, did he take Crabtree? Was Fitzgerald still there? Was Landry still there? I mean, why take Crabtree instead of one of those guys? Or, why take Schuster instead of someone else? Like, was Schuster really the best wide receiver left? I mean, I doubtful probably. I just don't. I mean, Rodgers is enough, sure. I mean, but Rodgers isn't, is only 13 MS, which is kind of surprising, by the way, with his scramble ability in real life. But, I'm just kind of surprised if you're gonna take a 75 PC QB, you got to take people you can really just throw some junk to, in my opinion. But regardless,
Yeah, I think where he took Schuster, he had like the 50 MS, 69 reception guys, so it wasn't like the super fast receivers, but he could have had like a 50 MS, 69 reception, and I think Fitzgerald he probably could have taken where he took the Rams if he really wanted to, boost up Rogers' value. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on,
yeah,
on this team, but I think, last place. I think given his performance last season, it might be a struggle moving the ball, without somewhat of a running game. So, all right. Next up, we got Barletti, who took his hometown boy, Saquon Barkley, at number 5 overall. He passed up Carson Wentz, which was a little bit surprising for me because I picked right after him and he sort of fell in my lap. But offensively, he has Nick Foles, solid QB. He's really lacking in receivers. I mean, Jamison Crowder is his fastest guy with low reception. He did take Jarvis Landry. I know you gave him shit when he took him where he did 75 reception, but he's really slow. Um, his defense is solid. Landon Collins is a fast DB with high hitting power, low interception. Olivier Vernon was his partner, so it's actually a pretty good tandem value. And then he has the Minnesota defensive line, which is one of the best D lines out there. Last season he had a similarly built team where he had a fast running back, and he struggled a little bit. I think he finished 6-8. He came in 16th in Brewdog's auto rating, so I think it kind of aligns with my feelings about this team. Nothing really that stands out besides Barkley. He's going to have to ride him. He does have a good offensive line that's going to help. So what do you think?
yeah. I'm not gonna go off like I just did on Doug. 'Cause I mean, I'm not trying to give Doug crap because obviously he got a good rating. I would say that with this team, simply put, I mean, I gave him crap for the Landry pick. I'll still give him crap. It makes no sense whatsoever. And then I got to say the rest of his team must be pretty poor when it comes to his drones to get such a low rating with what you have here. I'm sure he's probably getting dinged pretty hard for only having a 44 MS wide receiver, but I mean, you can always throw Barkley in at wide receiver clearly if you need to. So I mean, he can kind of just throw it up a little bit. I just, of a sticking point, just the Landry thing. I don't understand the point. Like, you know, you don't need. I mean, I don't get it. You're not gonna. I understand, 75 reception, whatever, but with 50 PC, what are you doing? So anyway, we can go on.
Yeah, I think he said he was kind of rushing through it during work, so he might not have really looked at it close enough. But yeah, I think he may struggle a little bit moving the ball if teams bottle up Barkley. He's not going to have enough speed out there to kind of separate. But we'll see. We'll see how he does. Let's move on. All right. So we have the Mac coming in third place here. He came in dead last in Brewdog's auto rating at 24%. But to be honest, his offense, I kind of like it. Like he has Mariota. Yeah, he has low PS, but he's fast. I mean, 44 PC is not the greatest, but he has Adrian Peterson, who's 56 MS. Amari Cooper gives him some speed. Cooper Cup is another solid receiver. The Indianapolis offensive line isn't the greatest. They do come with pretty good tight ends in Ebron and Jack Doyle. So offensively, I like it. Defensively, I mean, Khalil Mack is a stud, the best linebacker in the game on the ROM as well. But really, that's all he has. I mean, he's going to be manning him the entire game, and it's at 25 interception. So, the teams like Doug, teams like that have the good quarterbacks, if he's going to man Mac, he's going to be CC to death just given the 25 interception. So, that's where really I struggled a little bit with the defense. Mac's awesome, but I wish he had maybe a manable defensive back where he can sort of like use in nickel coverage, on obvious passing plays. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Mac is going to have to almost like. I mean, this team is built for offensively to play like Rico. where you basically just have to scramble to holy hell as much as possible. Like if he throws for more than 100 yards a game, he's doing it wrong or he's just playing from behind. Because I would say run a lot, and then when you pick pass, run a lot. Because I mean the 31 PS could be a problem. The bombing it a little bit could be a problem. Another situation, kind of like what you and I have talked about. I don't. I mean, depending on what was on the board, I don't know when he took Cooper Cup. But if he already had Cooper, what's he doing taking Cup? Because there's not really the second one receiver with the way his team is built doesn't provide you much value. And obviously, as you kind of said too, there's not a manable DB. Now, if they're in good, they're manable. But there's what can you do? But Mac is a stud. He's gonna be manning Mac a lot. But like for example, Mac against Aaron Rodgers at 75 PC, that's not even jump blockable. He'll whiff every time. So it's just like to give you perspective, Mac on Mac. I know you're listening. And just quick thing, Bruce said in the stream chat war, don't worry about the percentages. That's just a weird thing. The ranking is more important. Just so you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we'll see. So that leaves Drake and Big Red as the last two guys. So we'll see who I predicted to finish in second. I went with Big Red. Last season, I predicted him to win the division, and of course, he let me down. But he did end up winning the War Games tournament, qualifying tournament with his team. But he came in 12th, sort of middle of the pack at 49%. Now, again, his offense, I really like it, like the way he constructed it. Todd Gurley obviously is the best running back, with the 50 RS and 63 MS. He's essentially like Neil Anderson on OG Rom. Dak Prescott, I know you have your history with him, and he sort of shit the bed for you in season one. But with a really fast running back, I really think, that's probably a perfect fit for him. With T.Y. Hilton at 56 MS, 63 reception, that's a solid receiver, a good tight end, a solid offensive line. Where I struggled a little bit was on defense. Malcolm Butler is his best defensive player at 44 RP, 56 interception. He has no linebackers at all. So I think like with maybe some of the teams that have the strong running games, like Barletti, like that type of team, he may struggle with, as well as the MAC with Adrian Peterson. So without any linebackers, it's gonna be tough to stop the run, and he doesn't have really that stud defensive back. So it's clear that he went all offense with his picks, which I do like. What's listed here. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, shouldn't his offense be better if he went all offense, though? I mean, it's good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not whatsoever, but I just kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like it should just be more other stud up there. You basically have Gurley as a stud, and that's it. There's really, I mean, I guess Hilton's close, but but like I said, this is kind of built the same way as the last one, where you're going to be running a lot. And then when you're passing, you're going to be running a lot. I mean, I ran for like, I think 700 or 800 yards with Dak Prescott this season. I had him, and obviously I had issues with him throwing the ball. He was all over the place. He threw a ton of picks. I was pissed. I started that season 0-6 and then finished 6-2 and two tough luck losses there. But point being, though, is that, he's LVP 2.0. And I mean, I'm just hating on him for that. But I mean, he's not bad. It's just, it's a lot of speed. So it's another one of those teams where hypothetically, and just bear with me here, when you take T.Y. Hilton, if you had done something defensively instead, let's just say you got Jordan Reed as your primary receiver. 44 MS is not good, right? But it's just like with what you have in Gurley, when you have in Prescott, you don't need a burner because you can always throw Gurley at wide receiver when you got to bomb the ball. So it's just like, it just seems like maybe that Hilton pick could have been better used somewhere else, on defense or what have you. Because, if his fastest guy is Malcolm Butler, he's basically, he's in trouble. He's going to have to basically score every possession because he's not going to get any stops. And while this team is good offensively, I don't know if he's a score every possession offensively team. But regardless,
No, I totally agree. I think where he took Hilton, I think he had I think Tramon Williams, who was the 50 RP, 56 interception guy. I think Eric Berry was there, who's 50 RP or 56 RP, 50 INT. So there wasn't any true stud DBs left, but like there were some speed, guys out there that he could have definitely used, and still could have gotten like a decent receiver probably in round 4. So really, that's where he probably could have made one slight change and would have improved his team significantly.
Yeah, I'd agree with
I
that.
agree.
And Big Red's probably going to give
Yep.
me a ton of crap for, pooping on his team like that. But I'm not pooping on it. I mean, it's good. It's just, I don't know how he's going to get a stop. But you know what? He surprised me before, so we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. So that leaves us with Drake. So Drake actually, part of the reason why I picked him here was one, he dominated his first season in bronze. So his team may not be the best, as you can see, it came in 17th place. But taking Deshaun Watson, number 3 overall, I think we have to give him a little shit for that. Because I mean, I took him, I think, like pick 17 or 18 in season 1, and he took a number 3 overall. He could have had um, Carson Wentz. He could have had maybe some other picks, maybe some stud DBs. I know you want to go QB given his past season, but offensively he has two 44 MS running backs. That's good. Sammy Watkins gives him some speed. He has a great tight end with a great offensive line. So offensively, I think he's set. Um, defensively, similar to Big Red, he doesn't have much speed. Like his best DB is Lamarcus Joyner, who's a 44 RP, 50 INT, but he does have two 38, 56 INT guys who they go into good. They're solid. Trey Flowers is a 69 HP linebacker with 44 RP, and then Mark Barron is like the poor man's Gary Reasons at linebacker as well. So he doesn't have like a true stud. He sort of has a lot of little pieces that with conditions I think is going to help him a lot if some of these guys go into good. Um, I like his offense. I think his defense, he has enough with conditions. So, I went with him going in first place. What do you think?
Well, because the problem he's going to have here is that this is a grinder offense. Like he can run the two running back set, that's fine because he opens up uh, every single running play to him. Awesome, right? That's great. Good for him. But it's just like once again, I just I actually like this team more than you do. I think like this is a team that I could play with where I could really just kind of grind it out. I think that maybe the ranking, I don't know, and Gas is crapping on this team in the stream chat, which makes no sense because it's just no studs. But and I understand War that you feel studs are like make the machine go. But to me, I think this is a relatively well balanced team that with a condition here, a condition there, you can do some work with it. So I don't actually hate this team. I think that this team is okay. It's I mean I'm going to say it's probably my favorite in the division just because of how I like to play. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. I think this is like a team that I would build myself, like a fast QB with like, a lot of different pieces and moving parts. I just like the overall balance he has. He has a lot of guys on defense that they may not, individually, but I think like with conditions and things like that, he has a lot of flexibility if the conditions go his way. So I'll give Drake credit. He dominated the division, so I think with his skill level, I think he's going to take the division, in my opinion.
The last thing I'll say before we move on
Yeah,
is that when you have the number 3 overall pick, you have a responsibility to take a stud, plain and simple. A responsibility that one pick could, has the potential to completely, trash your whole draft. And unfortunately, Watson's not a stud. I don't care that he's 31 MS. It doesn't matter to me. And I think that if you want to do anything about this team, that was his big mistake is taking Watson there. But that's just
yeah.
my
I
two
mean,
cents.
like imagine like this team with like Carson Wentz, who's like the 69 PC guy. Um, maybe he would have done something differently at receiver if he would have had Wentz, maybe with a better receiver. But I just think that if you have a chance to get like a quarterback like that, he's 19 MS, he's not super fast, but I mean, he does have some wheels on him. But I think that might have been the better pick. But Drake likes his fast QBs. He did great with Lamar Jackson in season 1, who's a lot worse than Deshaun Watson. So, but he also had Todd Gurley that season, so that opened up things for him. He doesn't have that luxury with
Well,
two
yeah, and
44 MS
plus, just the
guys.
last note before we really should move on is that he doesn't have really a tapping advantage versus most people. So he's going to be really grinding it with Michelle and Crowell. And honestly, there's nothing in his passing game that's going to make people not stack run. And then also, key point two is if people do pick running plays against him for whatever reason he's passing and he can't get the ball off or he wants to scramble, more guys close to the line. It's just going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. So just to recap quick, before we move on to the next division. Um, you got Drake coming in first, Big Red in second, the Mac Barletti and the Mac. That's a typo there. That should be Middle Doug. But yeah, I think Drake and Big Red, I think, have the best teams overall. Like they have the best balance, I think. So we'll see how it goes. Let's move on.
I bet you. I bet you Big Red is going to give you a whole bunch of stuff for not putting
I'm
him
sure
first.
you will.
Just so you know.
All right, so let's move on to silver. So in silver, Darth Rockman, who had this season from hell, came back down to earth and was relegated back down to the silver. Madtown Spliff Stars had a great season in season 2, and he's now in silver. Those are the two new additions. Arncoem and Jesus and Tadeos round out the rest of the division.
Can we just say
So,
real quick before you even go
yep.
on? Every single person in this effing division taps at least a 17. I just want to put that out there. Literally, if you look at this list, they're all 17 plus. Okay, I'm done.
I didn't even realize that until you brought it up. To be
I
honest,
mean, what the heck?
that's insane.
Seriously, think about this. Like, their games versus each other are going to be really interesting because when you don't have the consistent tapping advantage that they're used to playing other people, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, literally, are they going to like be bad? Like, I mean, it's going to expose other flaws in their game. I mean, literally, not a single person in this division taps less than a 17.
Yeah, for sure. I think probably Arncoem is probably the most consistent. You would say, right? Of all these guys, I know Jesus and
Yeah,
Rockman.
I would say.
They tend to have like their moments where they kind of fall asleep at the wheel sometimes.
Yeah, I would
So
say
Arn may
Arn.
have the advantage.
Yeah, I would say Arn is probably the most consistent. And don't sleep on Madtown either, man. That guy can do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree. Okay. Very interesting point there. That's going to add a little bit more to like maybe some of these games that I want to watch. So we'll see how that plays out. All right. So moving on. All right. I got Matt Town coming in last place. One of the big problems I have here is quarterback. Now I know you're a big time homer, and I think Josh Allen had a great season, and you're going to continue to give me shit for his rating, even though I made these ratings before the season started, and no one knew he was going to be the next coming of QB Eagles. But I have him in 5th place. He came in 14th in Brewdog's auto rating at 46%. He has a great running back in Kamara who can do some double duty at receiver with the great receptions. Doug Baldwin gives him a solid receiving threat. Olsen is also a high reception guy, a little slow. Offensive line is good. The quarterback is really like where I struggle a little bit with. But with his tapping ability, with Kamara, that might not be an issue. He may be able to do it without that stud QB. Defensively, it's a slow defense, but he has Darius Slay, who's sort of like the OG Rom's Mark Carrier, with one notch less of interception. Bruce Irvin is a slower but high HP guy, and he does have the Jacksonville D line with Calais Campbell, who's a 69 stud on the D line. So really, I think this is him being a newer guy to the division. It's a step up for him. I know he's had some success in HSTL. He's been playing a lot better lately. He had a great Thunderdome run despite his not making it out of the bracket. He played really well. But I think the quarterback play and maybe a slower defense, dinged him for me a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, well, first off, gotta give Madtown props for dominating the Bronze Division last season. Also, give him props for winning the AFC East, coming and getting the second overall seed via again in HSTL in season 49. So he's definitely playing well. I'll give him that. And I'm a homer, but I'm not a homer like Barletti, where this Josh Allen rating is probably accurate, aside for his MS. Maybe his PS should be higher. But if you look at him, I mean, it's basically Steve Young. I mean, obviously he's slower, but with worse PCs. So I just got a feeling he's going to throw a whole bunch of picks. You got to be really precise with the 38 PC and the 56 PS, where you're not going to get as much junk that you might get with a lower PS guy, just because of the JJs and whatever else. So, and 50 MS isn't. I mean, it's burnable, but it's not like real burnable. So, I get what you're saying. I think maybe he'll do a lot of dump offs to Kamara. I think he's going to be relying a lot on his tapping. But once again, as we just detailed, we how can he rely on his tapping when everyone in his division taps what he taps? So it's going to be maybe his out of division games. He'll be better than his interdivision games, honestly. Quick note too, you don't have it in here, and I only know this because I'm playing him in one of the first 2 weeks. He has another linebacker. His other linebacker is 63 HP as well. So he has some big guys that are going to be on the line. Just so everyone knows.
Yep. And I think really like that tapping point, I think is key because I think the first 2 seasons he had 44 MS running backs and he was like one of the league leaders in rushing, but that was like when he was in bronze where he out tapped everybody. So now taking a step up to the division with with full of tappers, Kamara's like 56 MS, is definitely needed in this division. So we'll see if that sort of like impacts his run game going up against all these guys that can probably out tap him or at least come close. So definitely interesting to see how that's going to play out. All right. Next up in fourth, we got Rockman. So he took Patrick Mahomes number 2 overall. He's obviously had a great season, this past season, and his rating next season is probably going to be a lot better than this, given like the stuff that he did. But Mahomes went number 2 overall. He got Demaryius Thomas at receiver. A high reception guy to pair with him, a 44 MS running back, literally the last running back available. The Tampa Bay offensive line is solid. So offensively, it's pretty much Mahomes and Demaryius. And with the 44 MS running back and all those tappers, I'm not sure if he's going to win a lot of those tap battles. Just to highlight, he came in first overall in Brewdog's auto rating, just to point that out. On defense, Eric Berry is sort of like the Ronnie Lott, but without the HP. McCourty is another fast DB, sort of like a Manny Hendricks type. And then he has some pretty, not super fast linebackers, in Zach Brown and Kiko Alonso. So, offensively, I think he'll be a little bit one-dimensional. Now, he was one-dimensional in season 1 where he had Drew Brees, and I think it was DeAndre Hopkins was his pair, and he made a deep run in the playoffs. It'll be a similarly structured team there, but maybe a little bit slightly worse receiver. So I think teams are just going to call pass all game. And without that tapping edge, I don't know if that 44 MS running back is going to be enough.
So just not to go back to middle, Doug, but I will say this is what I was talking about. When you're going to take a high PCQB, you got to take, a receiver to complement that. So I don't know because Rockman can really get it up there. So I'm not sure. Like I'm going to be frank, I don't know who has the tapping ability in that division. I'd say maybe Arn is the highest, and then after that, who knows? So maybe Rockman will be fine. But something that's going to happen is with the passing attack that he has, it's going to open up the run game for him just because he's going to have places to run the ball where he may not average 10 yards a carry, but he'll definitely get some chunk yardage there. And I would say that this defense, he's going to be manning Kiko a lot, probably in the nickel. And honestly, in my 2 cents, I think Mahomes should have gone number 1. I would take Mahomes over Rodgers just because of the 19 MS all day, and they'll get rid of the tick of PC, maybe the tick of PS and not care and take that 19 MS to the bank. So for me, Mahomes should have gone number 1. I think he's the best quarterback on the ROM. And so, really good draft by Rockman. Obviously, the Raider agrees, and I think that, it's well balanced. Could he get eaten up a little bit by high PC to high, reception guys? Sure, but from what we've seen so far, that doesn't really exist. When he plays Brew's probably going to eat his secondary for breakfast. But other than that, who knows?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think like in season 1, I think the Mac took Patrick Mahomes over Aaron Rodgers. So I think there are a lot of people out there that would have done the same. Given like that 19 MS. So yeah, definitely a good draft. I think, Rockman has a lot to prove. He went 0-14, put up a bagel in season 2. So I know he's going to be hungry to try to, recover and bounce back a bit. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So third place, we got Arn Combe. So I always give Rockman shit for finishing at 500. But I think Arn Combe is right up there as well. He's finished 7-7 in both seasons. This team came in 11th in Brewdog's auto rating. Looking at his team, Jameis Winston, 44 guy. It's just a slower offense. Like he has a lot of 44 MS guys out there. And Mark Ingram is 50 MS. So, it's a really balanced offense. Like he has really, you can see there are two running backs, a receiver and Jimmy Graham, who is a solid tight end. So I think this is probably the most offense that he had, in all the seasons in 2K. Usually he had really like a slower offense for both seasons. And then on defense, I mean, he has Patrick Peterson. I mean, he's really is a 56 RP, 69 interception. He's one of the best DBs in the game. Uh, doesn't have a great. He has Curry, who's serviceable. Does have the Rams DL. So, you had the Rams DL this year. They paid some dividends for you this season, and I think in season one as well for the team that drafted them. So, Peterson back being applied by Aaron Donald and Stu. We'll see how that plays out. But I think his offense is going to be tough. With a lot of maybe, but with conditions.
Yeah, I would say what you're saying is correct. And just so everyone, just because there was a little bit of talking issues there, everyone, he's basically just saying this team is really well balanced, and he thinks he has enough to do well with it. I would say with the Rams DL, if he has a scenario where Donald is not going to get through because someone's aligned properly, Donald can de facto act as like his linebacker kind of thing, so Curry doesn't necessarily matter as much. But Peterson's great there in the backfield. I mean, this is a team kind of team I would build. Like literally, if I could just have this team, I would take it. Like it's a good team, I like it, and I would build this exact team if I could. So I think it's good, and I think that he should. It's got all the pieces. It's just a matter of, the Rams DL, as you saw in my game versus player in the Super Bowl, it only matters when it matters. And if it doesn't matter, then he's basically, if the Rams DL is neutralized, aside from Donald, maybe manning him here and there, like it's a one-man show there. So if there's any problems he's going to have, it could be potentially on D against good offensive lines who, where conditions might not favor him. But overall, I mean, it's just like we said, I mean, against everybody. It's just, these slower balanced teams, it's just how are you going to be able to move the ball? Are you going to be able to move the ball? What's going on with tapping? All that good stuff.
Yeah, and I think in the first couple of seasons, I think Arn struggled a little bit moving the ball and scoring points. I mean, his defense was pretty solid. He played a lot of close games, but I mean, Gats in the chat made a good point. This is like the Saints offense, but with like Fulcher on defense, essentially. Maybe not without the hitting power, but and I think that's a pretty good team. So Arn definitely built his best team, I think, of the 3 seasons. And I think if he makes the playoffs, I think this team would probably be better suited for the War Games than his season 1 team that he made, winning the War Games qualifier. So I think really, this team could do some damage this season.
Well, I mean, and that's if he makes the playoffs, which he's probably not going to do at 7-7. So he has to make the playoffs with this team to do that. Clearly, um,
Yeah.
I would say, I kind of agree with you. I think this is just kind of like a well balanced team, and I will note though, I understand Patrick Peterson's just like Fulcher, but I mean that hitting power matters. That's what makes him a one man defense. So I wouldn't call him Fulcher. I would call him more like Richard Johnson or Wayne Haddix, if you will.
Yep. No, I agree. All right. So second place I got coming in is Jesus. Um, he came in 7th place overall in the auto ratings. Now his big question mark here is quarterback. I mean, he took Lamar Jackson, who had a great season with Drake in season 1, but really there's no running game to kind of take the heat off. He does have two 44 MS running backs, so conditions, could get them to 50 MS in certain games. He does have Odell Beckham, who made it to the Super Bowl in season 1 with Brew's team. So obviously that's a big factor there. On defense, he has pretty much a well-balanced defense with the stud DB and AJ Bouye. He has a solid drone and Dix. Sean Lee is a stud linebacker with some 31 interceptions, so he's great in the nickel, and then some HP with Blake Martinez. So I love his defense. Offensively is obviously going to be an issue with Lamar, but Jesus has been playing really well, in the past, couple seasons. So I think that's one of the reasons why I put him ahead of Arn, just because. Well, actually, I have him tied with Arn, but he's ahead here, just given like his recent success. So I'm not sure about his offense. I'm curious to see how it's going to work with that stud receiver with such a poor quarterback, PC wise. and not that great running backs. So what do you think about this
Yeah,
team?
and that's what I don't understand here is like, I mean, literally any DB that's 56 interception or higher can JJ pick Lamar Jackson. So I don't understand I mean, and you know what? This is a great. His defense is great. I'm not trying to poop on this team, but like, this is the reverse of what I was saying with Middle Doug, where how do you take Beckham in this scenario with a QB that could very easily just throw the ball right out of bounds? Like, I don't get it. With that, and obviously one of Jackson's strengths is gonna be scrambling, but it's not like his PC is high enough to be throwing from all these different angles. You're basically dealing with. I don't even know. I'm kind of you're basically dealing with a faster Andre Ware with lower PC. It's just, or maybe like Jeff Hostetler. Is that close to that? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of confused by that. I don't understand. I mean, the Beckham pick's great and it really bails him out and it makes people maybe worry about pass, but I just be concerned that he's going to have a lot of interceptions with Jackson when he's trying to throw the ball around.
Yeah, I mean, it almost defeats the purpose of having Odell Beckham. I think he had his chance to get a 44 QB, or even like the Ryan Fitzpatrick's, who's like a 38-44 kind of guy. Because if you're going to have Beckham, you're going to have to, like, you want to take advantage of it. You don't want to just use him as a decoy. I mean, he did mention, yeah, he'll be going deep. People have to respect the deep play, and then that opens up things for Lamar Jackson to scramble. But I mean, you're going to spend a high pick on Odell Beckham, like you want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean,
And and yeah, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say I agree. Like you don't need a high PC quarterback with Beckham because of how fast he is, but I mean at least get a 44-44 guy, But and once again, keynote Lamar's scrambling thing like it's different for QBs. Obviously, the faster scrambler they're gonna get more chunk yardage, but he's gonna be running out of bounds a lot because once again, like I said with all these guys, whatever they're used to, playing, they're playing literally. If you think about what there's five. They're playing 8 of their 16 or 8 of their 14 games. Over half their games are against people who can tap what they tap. So it's like it's going to be interesting to say the least.
I totally agree. Okay, so that leaves my season three silver division picture with Tadeo. So he took the Alex Smith plunge. So last year he was on Middle Doug's team, and it was a struggle from what I've seen. I mean, Middle Doug's not a streamer, so I didn't catch a lot of his games and kind of how Alex Smith functioned. But he was one of those weird rated guys that I had on the ROM that I was kind of curious to see how it plays. So I think with today I was streaming all of his games, it'll be fun to see kind of like how that plays out. But he came in fifth place overall in the auto ratings. And I mean, just by looking at this list, there's not that many names on the list, which means there's not a lot of depth on either side of the ball. On offense, a 50 MS running back. Keenan Allen is not fast, but he has a high reception. His offensive line isn't the greatest. Obviously Alex Smith is going to be the key here, and how he uses him, whether he goes with this time JJ's, with what he does with that pass two and maybe some of the pass three stuff that he does. Will he be disciplined enough to scramble enough, or is it going to be, his typical, play style? And again, without the taps in all the games, is 50 MS running back going to be enough to open it up? That's going to be the key there. On defense, he has everything that you'd want. He has a stud DB, he has a stud linebacker, and the Cincinnati defensive line is also one of the best. So he has a great defense, and really that's what Tadeos does best: is play defense and run the ball. Those are his strengths. So we'll see how it works out. I put him in first place just because his recent success. And I think he'll be able to use Alex Smith properly. So what do you think of this team?
I love the team minus Alex Smith, and here's the only reason why. And I agree, he's fast. He's going to scramble. Tadeos is a scrambler. It's fine. But guys, 25 PS is literally Dave Craig. It's literally Rich Gannon. It's a pain. Literally, guys, I've played like games where it's Colts versus Seahawks, right? And Dave Craig has thrown 4 interceptions to the Colts, not because they can, because they suck. Their DBs suck. Everything about the Colts defense sucks on the OG round. But because for whatever reason, and Brew maybe can explain this, maybe he can't. I don't know. Something with PS makes it wonky, and the overthrows are plentiful. And so even when he's making it work, I just don't see a scenario where Smith is going to be able to throw the ball the way you want all the time. I don't. It's a good team, and it's a wet dream for defense when you're trying to just build a team's defense. He's got all the pieces on offense, decent enough offensive line. He's got his receiver, which you wish was a little faster, but whatever. He's got a 50 MS running back, but Smith is the question mark. And, as people are saying in the chat too, this team is going to go as Smith goes, and that's really it. So if he can make Smith work, great. But I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
No, I know. I definitely agree. I mean, Tedeo's had Carson Wentz last season, and you could argue that he probably ran the ball way too much with having Carson Wentz at quarterback. So I think, given that he has obviously a weaker quarterback, and I think he has a faster running back, if he continues to be more that ground and pound type of offense, I think he's going to do fine because I think he plays conservatively enough. The one thing that he does a lot is that pass to time JJ, and look at Middle Duck's chat comment, like there are a lot of overthrows with that pass to timing JJ. And with Alex Smith, I mean, that's going to lead to a lot of interceptions. So, we'll see if he's going to do that a lot or if he's going to maybe rein that in a little bit. But I think if he stays careful enough, I think he'll make it work. I think it'll be enough. So, anything else you want to add?
No, I
I'm
mean,
going to move
you
on.
nailed on the head. I hope he proves me wrong, but I see this season with Alex Smith being a disaster for him. I really do. And it's a waste of a good team otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then, just for those maybe who are joining a little bit late, here's a quick recap of the silver. Got fit today. I was finishing first. Got a tie with Jesus and Arn, with Rockman and Matt Town, wrapping it up. Just looking at the teams again, just kind of like going through them with you and seeing some of the chat. Maybe Arn Combs' team. I think maybe I could have put a little higher, maybe in second place, with a better record. I mean, just looking at his team. I mean, I think he's skilled enough. I think to make what he has work. So maybe those are some second guesses that I have right now, just thinking about it after hearing some of the feedback. All right. Next up, we got gold. So this is going to be our division. So I was relegated. I came out 6-8. I failed with Cam Newton, just like Tecmo Bowl did. And then Player obviously was promoted, from his great season that he had. So this division has some fresh blood. We have you, we got Player. Prime is still in this division. We got myself, and then we got Zer. So coming in last place, got Zer. So Zer finally, so he came in 18th place, first of all, overall in Brewdog's rating. Now, this is a team that's obviously built for Zer. He has, a good QB, and then he got the great receiver, Mike Evans. That's going to be a nightmare for defenses with the JJs. Now, Zer pretty much Zered himself in the draft. He had a chance to get a 44 MS running back, and instead of taking Isaiah Crowell, he took Thomas Rawls instead. So he actually took the wrong guy from the Jets. So he could have had a 44 MS running back, but he took the wrong guy. He took the 38 MS guy in typical Zer fashion. So, that's something that's going to really hurt him because now he has no semblance of a running game. I mean, he did take a couple of 38 MS guys, which kind of help with conditions. And the Denver O line is decent, but it comes with no tight end. So it's going to be a back and be offense. He's going to be desperate to make the war games, and I think that's pretty much what we're going to see all year offensively. And then on defense, Talib, you had him last year. He's your Eric Allen type, 50 RP, 50 INT, or Carly, if you want to say. A solid DB drone in Denzel Ward, and then Clowney is his stud linebacker. So he doesn't have much INT outside of Denzel Ward. But I think, really he's going to go as his JJs go.
Oh, I mean, I absolutely agree. And, it's a very Zer thing to do because he actually, when Zer is doing the JJ thing and he's not only JJing, he actually does mix in the runs pretty well and keep you off balance. It's going to be tough for him to do that here with only 38 MS guys, honestly. I would say that, as you saw with Tecmo Bowl last year, Tecmo Bowl or Jared Goff, for whatever reason, I don't think he plays to his 50-63. What is that? Phil Simms, basically. I don't know if that's going to work. Obviously he's just going to chuck the ball and just, hope it works. But I mean, on offense, it's going to be just basically, is it working or is it not? On defense, Talib is fine. He's fast enough, but honestly, he's got stone hands. He's almost like like you said, Eric Allen or Manny Hendricks. They didn't get a lot of picks with him. So and I don't really see Zer Manning linebacker unless he really is selling out on run. So I'm crossing my fingers here that he does finish last. Although I don't know what you're gonna do with season 4 with expanding it because I need a Zer break, man. I got to play him twice this season in 2K. I gotta play him now because I'm playing the Central and HSTL. I just need I deserve a zero break. I finally, I mean, I just do. I deserve it. I deserve a season where I don't have to play him. So if hopefully he finishes in last, and somehow, hopefully somehow, may the Tecmo gods shine bright upon me. I don't have to play him next season in 2K. Just saying.
I agree. I mean, coming from a guy who was in HSTL division with him every season, and I played him in every year in 2K so far. He was always on my schedule. I got him twice again, so it's a struggle. I mean, really finding time to play him. It's always some weird times, and in typical Zer fashion, it's always like he'll be there, and then you'll respond back, and then you don't hear from him for a couple hours. So I mean, it's just I get it. I mean, I've dealt with it. Hopefully, we can kind of get away from it.
I
Next
want to go on
season.
record and having because I'm going to trash him right now. The fact that Gats is in the stream chat calling this a good team, Gats should literally stop licking Zer's tush and literally just for once say, "Hey, you sucked at drafting, buddy." Like what? I mean, what the heck, man? I can't. And honestly, part of my angst is really just how Zer carries himself as a league commissioner and what I have to deal with. So that's part of my angst. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, dude, F that Gats. Take that crap and just go elsewhere with it, man.
Yeah, they're definitely tied together. So I'm not surprised there for sure. So all right, moving on.
He called it a Super Bowl team. Gats, just get off the stream, Gats. All right, I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, this is a struggle putting player who just won the Super Bowl with like a great team. I really struggled with this division because I really think all the teams are really. I mean, outside of maybe Zer's team, I think it's a pretty balanced. You can go either way. But so I struggle giving player a fourth place finish after a Super Bowl run. Looking at his team, he came in 19th in the overall rating. That had a played a little role in my prediction. He has a fast running back, Melvin Gordon. So players probably gonna win all the taps in our division. So having a 56 MS guy is going to be really key for him. 44 QB. Now where he dropped the ball, and I think part of this was like he was traveling for a couple days there, and he wasn't able to really draft or focus on the draft. He didn't get a receiver at all. So his best receiver is Duke Johnson, who's a running back, 38 MS, 63 reception, and Delaney Walker at tight end. So he doesn't have much speed at receiver. It's going to be pretty much a Melvin Gordon show for him. His offensive line is really good. Tennessee has one of the top lines. And then on defense, I mean, it's a really good defense. I mean, Eric Weddle is a stud. Clay Matthews also as well, and then another good linebacker. So his defense, I think, is it's not comparable to last season, but I mean, it's definitely one of the top in the league. I think. I just think he might struggle a little bit offensively, without much speed outside of Melvin Gordon with the 44 QB. So what are your thoughts on players team?
I want to know why. I mean, if Brew is watching, I'd like to know why this is 19th. I mean, obviously it's slow. He's got no wide receiver, but I mean, does that really drop it to 19th? Aside from not having a wide receiver, I mean, does it really drop it that much? I don't know. Maybe his depth elsewhere is terrible because there's not many people on here. But I mean, he's got everything you want on defense, clearly. And so I mean, maybe he doesn't have a nickel guy, but so what? He's gonna, he can man Matthews or what have you. He's got his 56 MS running back. He's running it back with Andy Dalton, which and honestly, if you looked at players last season, he threw the ball a ton to Kittle, who's not fast. Kittle was only 38 MS anyway on that stupid pass one tight end brute that he likes to just throw real quick that he threw so many interceptions on. So, I mean, this team is built for player, quite honestly. So, I mean, but like you said, it's going to go as his taps go, and if he makes mistakes, he has less, he can make, if he makes mistakes this season, it's going to be harder for him to cover it up with his amazing defense is the basic gist of it. But I'm really curious if Brew's on here why this was ranked 19th because aside from receiver, I don't see why. So that's for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. I'm sure he'll probably respond. And I think when the stream's over, I'll post or Brew can post, I guess, the overall the overall ratings that he typically does. So he could post and everybody can kind of see how it broke down per position per. I think he does by passing game, running game, and then like maybe like DBs and linebackers for defense. So maybe it's something to do with the passing game rating so low, and I think he weights the passing game higher than running game. So without really a great passing game, I think that's probably why it came down so low. But
Yeah,
You
that's
know, he can
actually
definitely
yeah.
explain
Brew
that.
just responded. It's the worst. It's the worst pass offense on the run by far, which is 35% of the weight. That makes sense. Key point here too. Is this like even with his strong tapping? Granted, he was playing other guys who could tap too, but I mean, even against me, dude, in the Super Bowl, he wasn't averaging a lot of yards per carry. His Lamar, he led the league in rushing with Lamar Miller for the regular season, but I mean, his average yards per carry was so low. It's because he rushed nonstop. It's going to be really interesting to see what he does with Gordon and to see if he can get that up. But like I'm telling you, it's going to be tough because he doesn't. People can sell out on run against him, and then Dalton can hit the open guy, sure, but they're so slow. He's going to get caught by drones and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think our division is going to be really fun this year because I think there's like a lot of closely built teams, as you'll see in the next couple. But I agree. I mean, I think Player is going to have a solid year, but I think he might hover around 500. Um, and we'll see what happens.
I just
All
want
right.
to I want to interrupt real quick. A live
Yeah.
a live HSTL draft update because Hawk finally picked. Uh, I want to go on note and saying that Barry Sanders, the Raiders, right, the Raiders. So this is from a speed perspective in the AFC East right now. Barry Sanders is in Mel Gray. The Raiders wide receivers, which is Grady, Brown, Fernandez, and Galt, and Bo Jackson, all in the AFC East and HSTL for season 50. Just saying. What goes on,
Wow.
man? Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program.
Okay. All right. So I have myself finishing in third place. Now I know everybody is saying because I got Carson Wentz, I should win the Super Bowl. Um, and maybe that's true, but I think given the rest of my team makeup, I wasn't really as happy as I would like to be. Now, normally in HSTL, when you draft a stud QB early, you almost always get either like the Flipper Anderson types of the world or like the Sterling Sharp, types, like the 50-75, 56-75 guys. And, on this ROM, it's not as juiced as far as the receivers go. So I wasn't able to get that stud receiver. So Zur took Mike Evans right in front of me. And he was the last like 56 MS, 69 plus guy. So I had a decision to make, either take T.Y. Hilton, who was 56 MS, 63, or Stephon Diggs, who's 50-69 with a 44 MS running back. I know we talked about it on Discord. I was, kind of struggling a bit with it, and I decided to go with like the higher reception guy, just take advantage of uh, Carson Wentz high PC. So offensively, I was able to get not listed here. I was also able to get a 50 MS receiver in Marquise Goodwin, who's low reception. So offensively, I think I'm fine. I think I'll be able to move the ball. I have two 44 MS running backs. I can play conditions if one of those guys goes into good. I think really maybe the defense is really where I sort of may struggle with. And I sort of want to do a bit of an experiment this season without taking any DBs. So Bobby Wagner, you can see his stats here. The one thing that's hidden here is he's actually 44 RS, which I think puts him like almost equivalent to like a 56 RP guy. So he's pretty much like having Darrell Green at linebacker with some HP. So I kind of want to see how it works with having like a one man defense, with Wagner. His INTs aren't high, but 44, I think I should get by. I have Julius Peppers, who has that funky Lonnie Young rating. So he'll be my LB4 for lurch purposes. But I have no DBs. So Mike Adams is my best guy, but that's like having Bobby Humphrey, the Rams Bobby Humphrey at DB, defensive backs outside of Mike Adams. So that's going to be, I think, where I may struggle against guys like Zur, like that type of offense. So we'll see. I came in sixth place in the overall rating. Um, you know, what are your thoughts on this team?
I would say that this is a good team, man. This is a beastly team. I mean, obviously, the I will say that the DB experiment does work. Viking Mo has done it Viking Mo. This was before. I mean, there are probably some better players in HSTL now, but Viking Mo had a season in HSTL where he had two linebackers, Lloyd and somebody else, and literally no DBs, and led the league in defense. So I think that's really possible. I think if anyone like I was telling Mo when he asked me about you when he was going to play you in Dome, that I literally said you guys are almost like spitting images of each other and how you play. In my opinion, I think you're both very similar. But I would say that if anyone can make it work, it's you. I think it's. I mean, obviously, I think that's fine. And I told you I like the Diggs pick because I mean you got the value at the time was good, and we can call a spade here and just basically say Gatz is the one that messed up your wide receiver pick because he had no reason to take who he took when he took them, and that messed up the whole flow of it. So, for what it's worth, but in any event, I like your team a lot. I think so far it's probably one of the best teams we've seen as bruise ratings uh, show, and I think I think our experiment is going to work. Maybe except someone like against me because the only time you're really gonna get burned is when you get someone like Julio Jones. Like you just will not be able to get back there fast enough for burn routes, for example. So that might be tough for you. But other than that, the people who have fast wide receivers could be tough for you. But other than that, I think you're gonna be just fine. Mike, you'll probably win the division. Honestly, I mean, I don't. I've told you this every season. I think you rank yourself too low. Last season I was wrong, obviously, but this season I'm definitely telling you, you're ranking yourself too low. So, but regardless, let's keep going. I don't need to
Yeah.
fluff your. I don't need to fluff your ego anymore.
Nah, I don't like that. I hate that stuff. So definitely gonna move on. So, all right. So coming in second place, I got the Julio Jones show. So I got you coming in second. I know you're gonna give me shit for going 8-6, but I explained why earlier in the overall ratings. Sam Darnold, 44-44. I know you're kicking yourself because you took him in round 3, and I think he would have. I think the last 44-44 guy would have been there for you. I think in round 5 or something. So I think that was like one pick where I mean hindsight is 2020 with that, but 50 MS running back is great. Obviously, Julio Jones is going to bail you out a ton of bad situations. So I think your offense is going to be fine. You have your decently speed. So offensive line may be an issue with a bunch of 44 guys there. I forgot who this division has at defensive line, but that might be a problem for some teams. And honestly, I think your defense, we talked about this a little bit before. I think it's one of the best on the ROM. Like your first round pick. So your first round pick was essentially like getting a faster Eric McMillan and Kyle Clifton in one pick. And, that really opened it up for you. And you still were able to get Rashad Jones, who's a 44-56 guy. And then J.J. Watt on the defensive line, 75 HP. He's 31 INT. You can man him in nickel if you're ever needed in a pinch. Honestly, I think you have one of the best defenses in the league. And, with Julio Jones on offense, that's all I think you really need. So, I think second place is definitely in your reach, especially with the way you've been playing.
Yeah, I would say that so we went through the offensive line roulette. Like I had no plan of going through the roulette. I really didn't. It just kind of worked out that way with how the chips fell, and I wish Brew let it go one more time. I was really hoping for that Bruce Irvin pick or whatever. That's the pick where Madtown took that 69 HP linebacker that came with a 56 interception DB. I was really hoping for that pick. If I'm lacking on something, I would say it's an LB1, LB4 guy who I can really feel comfortable with, or with a high HP, to pair them with JJ Watt. But unfortunately, it just didn't fall that way. And then, I do kick myself with Sam Darnold, but honestly, taking Jones, like for everything I was saying about everybody else, if I were to not take Darnold and then have, not get a 44-44 guy, we'd be sitting here on this show right now, basically throwing me under the bus for not taking a 44-44 guy when I had the chance to pair with Jones. So it's just kind of how it felt. I am a little uncomfortable with the Cincinnati OL. I should have known that Brew was going to take Minnesota. I was kind of hoping for them again. I had them already. I like them. But what are you going to do? And I took Cincinnati instead of Seattle just because they don't have any 38 HP guys. But I mean, it's going to cause some problems with the guys with the big lines. Like one of my first games against Spliff and in Madtown, I mean, and he's got some big guys on his line. So if anything is going to bang me, it's going to be that. I've been playing some scrims for the first time ever in 2K, and I would say that this is probably. I mean, Brew kind of mopped the floor with me a little bit, but I did well against Prime and whatnot, and I think I'm going to figure this out. It's basically going to be, if Darnold, especially when Darnold's on with Julio, it's going to be great. If Darnold's not on, it's going to be a problem. But I'll tell you, you and I talked about it. having a 50 MS running back makes a difference. I don't know what it is, but I can really do some stuff with Henry that I probably couldn't have done with a 44 guy. So I like my team a lot. There's a couple of things I wish I could change on it, but for the most part, I would say like if I made the playoffs, I'd have a tough time picking my team last season, even with the defense I had and the season I had over this one, because I think this one's more complete than last season's team. So I'm pretty happy with my draft, and I don't say that often about my draft. So I appreciate the rating from Brew, and I do think you're wrong about me going 8-6. But honestly, dude, I haven't proved you wrong. I'm having crappy season in HSTL. I got knocked out of Dome early. Granted, P Tits has made it far now, so I mean that makes me look a little bit better. And
Yeah.
I started the last two seasons combined 0-11. So for what it's worth, I mean, they can't keep that doing that. So I got to win games I'm supposed to win and whatever. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, just going back a little bit to your Sam Darnold pick, I think given that you took that great tandem in round one, that like opened it up for you. That gave you the ability to like if you would have had like a one man tandem there where you only got one stud, then maybe I would have given you more crap for it because having those two guys pretty much allowed you to the luxury of like maybe taking a guy earlier than maybe you would have liked. And like you're right, we would have probably given you shit for having like a terrible QB to go with Julio Jones like we did with Jesus. So
And honestly,
yeah, so I think
go
yeah.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, note too is that like my lowest interception guy, my secondary is 44. My other guy, I've got the Jones, I've got Trufant, I've got a 50, and honestly, Jones out of everything was probably the pick that I took that was the biggest digression of what I normally do. And I mean, I don't,
Rashad Jones, right?
yeah, Rashad Jones, because I mean, at
Yeah.
the time, it was just the best value on the board for what I was doing. Where I wouldn't normally pick another guy you can man, another guy back there, but I think it's going to pay dividends, and Brew will tell you too that my defense, like when I was scrimming versus Brew, like he had a lot of stuff going on with Fitzgerald and what have you with which I know we'll get to his team in a second, but I mean. The CCs he was having against others that he was scrimming, he wasn't getting them as often versus me. So it's gonna be interesting, and I'm excited. So I just hope that my play backs up what I'm doing, and I really hope Cincinnati OL doesn't ruin this for me, because if there's one huge weakness on my team, it's the OL. But I kind of took that gamut, and whatever, I gotta live with it.
Yeah, I mean, like we always say in HSTL, really outside of you could pretty much, and so I think similarly in this raw thing, you're gonna have some games where it's gonna be a total mismatch. You're gonna get guys in your face all game, but I mean that's the benefit of having Julio Jones. You just gotta get out of the way of the defender and then just toss it, JJ.
Yeah, I will say
So
the last thing I'll say before we move on, because clearly Prime is going to be the number one team here, is that if Julio just like Le'Veon Bell, if Julio Jones ever gets hurt this season, which I know wide receivers get hurt a lot less frequently since they're not used as much, I'm in a lot of trouble because it's going to be really tough to move the ball for what it's worth. But I'm really excited about my defense. I would say that against Brew specifically, I was playing really good defense, and obviously it's just his passing game is just on point because of his reception and his PC. So I think that I can play some pretty good defense with this group, and I'm excited.
yep, no, I agree. I'm looking forward to playing you. So we'll see how the season plays
Well,
out.
I just want to say real quick too, the Mac said that he was hoping Trufant would fall to him in the second round. That's impossible. That tandem, I mean, he's probably joking, but just for what it's worth, anybody ahead of me that did not pick that tandem should be kicking themselves. Anyone ahead of
Yeah, I
me
mean, like it's a great
drafted
tandem.
anyone ahead of me that drafted a DB that was comparable to Trufant or just maybe a step above Trufant should be kicking themselves for not taking that tandem. Jesus
Yeah, I think
Jesus messaged me right afterwards and said, "Dude, I'm an idiot. I should have taken that. I didn't look close enough. Good pick."
Yeah, I think there was like 250 RP 69 INT guys that were just like solo picks. Like their drone was a scrub. I think like Tadeos, I think Jesus was one as well. And I want to say player, but player might have picked after you. But I think those two guys I think might have done better by taking that tandem because really it was two birds of one stone, and you have just so much INT with two picks. Yes, going down from 69 INT to 63 might be significant, but getting that Kyle Clifton type with a little bit more HP, I think might have been worth it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we got Prime winning the division here. He's 15th in the overall rating. It's a similar team as last season, where he missed the playoffs by tiebreakers. He has Big Ben again. He has a 50 MS running back. His receivers, he doesn't have a lot of speed there. He has two 44 MS 56 guys, but Prime can do wonders with those types of guys. So I'm not really concerned with that. The Buffalo offensive line, is average. It came with Charles Clay, I think, who's a decent tight end on this ROM. And then on defense, Peters, Eric McMillan type of DB, a little slower, but the high INT, solid drone. Foster is like the Simon Fletcher of this ROM. So I mean, overall defense isn't the greatest. Offense doesn't have the greatest speed, but I think Prime, it's a typical Prime team. Given his 15th rating, that's probably how he likes it as well. So what do you think?
Yeah, real quick, the Mac is saying that Nas got Trufant and it must not have been Trufant and somebody in Jones. I don't were Trufant and Jones paired together last season? Because if they were, the Mac is saying that they went 2.727 last season. I don't buy that. So maybe
No, because I had Deion Jones last
oh,
year,
so
so
Trufant,
Trufant and Jones were split.
yeah, they were split the last season. That's why. Okay, I feel better.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I played Prime. We scrimmed a few times, dude, and I said it in our Discord. I'm gonna say it here. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The dude's passing game is on point. That what he does in the passing game is literally ridiculous. I think he is probably the best passer in Tecmo above anybody else. I don't care. I mean, I'm not talking about the back and BJJ crap. I'm talking about precision passing. I mean, I guess I heard that Randy used to be this way too, or whoever else. But I'll tell you, Prime by far is the best precision passer in Tecmo today, by far. Like what he can do with his passing game is unbelievable, and so this is enough for him from a passing perspective. Obviously his defense is a little weak, and I think that's probably why he got the 15th ranking. But this offense is like perfect for him. He might have some trouble against high HP guys with his offensive line, but literally, I mean, with what he can do, scrambling around, moving around, throwing across the field, whatever. I mean, this offense is built for Prime, and he is a juggernaut with it. And I really truly mean that. Like he carved up my defense. Like I have a good defense, he carved it up. It was unbelievable to me what he's able to do. So I just want to go on record and give Prime his props and really boost his ego because it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's definitely one of the top passing players out there. I think Nas is up there as well. But those two, obviously, and always butting heads in division play all over these leagues, are two of the best for sure. So I think this is a Prime team. He's going to do well. It's hard to pick against him to win the division, but I think it's going to be a pretty close division throughout because I really maybe outside of Zur, I think all four teams that are outside of Zur, I think could win the division. So it should be a fun ride, I think.
Just and Brewdog said in the chat that Nas is right there too. I probably should. I'm probably like pooping on Nas, and I shouldn't. Because Nas is also way up there. So put them in any 1-2 order you want, but those two are great. And I don't want to take anything away from Prime, but like to be in the same company as Nas's passing game right there is whatever. I just personally think that Prime might be a little bit more precise simply because he passes more. Like Prime, what Prime's doing and he's going to do it and he gets it done. Where sometimes with Nas, it's just like he really sprinkles in run more. But Nas is fantastic too, not taking anything away from Nas. But go ahead.
Yep.
Oh, for the record, I'm winning our division, so this is wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised, that's for sure. So I think you're going to have a great season.
I'm not going to beat
Prime. I'll be political about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat Prime 42-0, but I'm going to win our division.
Okay, we'll see. All right, so the way that I have it, again, is Prime winning, Yoon second, myself third, player fourth, and then Zur fifth. I think this might be one of the best division battles I think we're going to have, maybe outside of, the platinum, which I think is loaded again. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it, that's for sure. All right, so last division, we got platinum. So Tecmo Bo made his way back after his non-cam season. So I was downgraded. Bo came back. So just look at these names here. Obviously, it's going to be a great battle. Every season so far in 2K, 4 teams were literally at above 500. Season one, we had four teams make it out. Season two, we could have had four teams, but the tiebreakers and things like that, it just didn't work out that way. So, I expect again.
Special thanks to Tadeos for that one, and that's because I mean I couldn't have made it to the Super Bowl without Tadeos.
Yeah, true. So I expect this again to be probably like a four-team race with. I mean, it's just tough to pick who the fifth team is going to be. Who's going to finish in last place? Because I mean, all these teams are built well. Um, and I put Randy Wags in fifth, but really, I mean, his team. I mean, it's ninth place in the overall rating, but it has everything that he likes to do. It's just a matter of the names on the list of like who's in this division. I think is just tough, to put him ahead there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Randy, outdoes the prediction here. And one of the reasons why I had him in fifth is obviously his quarterback with Blake Bortles. He's been sort of like quietly like the Cam Newton of like season killers. For these first two seasons, every team he's been on, he's really struggled. Zur had him in season one last year, obviously with Rockman going 0-14. But he got his 56 MS running back. He has a good receiver in Allen Robinson. I messed up here with the Detroit old line there. I'm not sure what that is, but I think Detroit, I think, is middle of the pack offensive line. But his defense, with Jalen Ramsey, who's the best DB in the game, and then Luke Kuechly, who's like a stud linebacker with hands. It's up there with one of the best defenses in the league. So looking at his team, you'll say this is probably a Super Bowl level team. Blake Bortles is obviously the big question mark. But I mean, Randy's done well with. I think he had Tyrod Taylor last year, who's not that great. And then in HSTL, he's had great seasons with like Mike Tomczak and those type of quarterbacks. So I think this team is really up there. It was just tough for me to really pick against any other guys.
Yeah, for me, it's obviously as we know, it's gonna be how Blake Bortles goes, and he's proven very clearly he can, do very well with crappy QBs. So I'm not gonna say that. But Randy's strength and why he does well with crappy QBs is because he out taps everybody. So he'll just ISO run you to holy hell, and then whatever. So I mean, I don't know if he can out tap everyone. I mean, he can out tap Nas, he can out tap Brew. I don't know if he can out tap Tecmo Bow. Who's the other one I'm missing? Brew,
It's Gats.
Oh,
It's
Gats.
Gats.
Well, he's got to out tap Gats. He probably can't out tap Gats, but because Gats doesn't tap online, that's probably why he's not out tap Gats. So it's really going to be, is he going to ISO run everyone to holy hell and then, just take the open guy with Bortles and then obviously scramble with Bortles. So I think Zur was trying to use Bortles like he uses all his bombing QBs, and that's not going to work. And Rockman I don't know what his deal was with Bortles. So point being is it's going to be really interesting. And I mean, Randy Wax is playing incredibly well. He just mopped the floor with Gats in HSTL playoffs. Granted, his team is better. So I don't know what's going to happen here. But, like I said, it's kind of, as you said, it's tough to pick against the other guys. So with this defense, man, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Ramsey. It's almost everywhere. Like Luke is almost an embarrassment of riches, though, honestly, because it's just like, I mean, when you have Ramsey, when are you not manning him? Even in bad, like, I mean, when are you not manning him? So it's almost like, holy crap, like I can't imagine a scenario unless he's really trying to stop a run that he's going to not man Ramsey, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he may use him for like the linebacker for lurch purposes. I mean, I don't think he's going to be using him much. But like you said, it's probably a luxury. I would never use anybody but Ramsey, given like just the fact that he's like Wayne Haddix. I mean, you never want to use, like a Percy Snow type over Wayne Haddix. So we'll see though. I mean, Randy likes to use his linebackers, and he likes to mix it up a little bit. So we'll see if he does that.
Yeah, so I'll have to say that one thing I maybe wish he had, if you wanted to critique one thing, is just that I wish he had a 56 MS wide receiver, better for the burn routes that he's probably going to try to throw with that 63 PS. But other than that, I mean, it's just going to, much like Tadeos, this team is going to go how Blake goes. However, he can really go run heavy and kind of do something, especially in his division with who he's going to be playing. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. So that leads us to our next guy. I have Tecmo Bowl coming in tied for third place here. He came in 10th place in the overall ratings. So, I mean, looking at Tecmo Bowl's offense, it's littered with 50 MS players. He has two 50 MS running backs, two 50 MS receivers. His offensive line obviously is going to be an issue with having two 44s and a 38. And then he has Kirk Cousins, who's sort of a poor man's Jared Goff on this run. Literally, like a lot of like slightly above average playmakers. It is an embarrassment of riches almost, but he sort of like was able to do that because his first round pick was the other great tandem that was available. It was Trevor Williams and Melvin Ingram. They were a package, so he basically got Eric McMillan and Dennis Byrd with his first round pick. So he pretty much passed up on defense the rest of the draft. As you can tell by the list here, his next best guy is like a 38 RP, 50 INT guy. So, I mean, his offense is going to be interesting. I mean, obviously conditions with guys going in good, it's going to boost those guys up. And I think Bo is like smart enough to kind of, move an offense like with all these weapons. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. I think this is a Bo can do work with this. Bo plays defense well enough. That's all he's going to need. Um, Williams might be a tiny bit slow compared to what I like, is because it's just that slow, just that fast enough to be too slow. But he'll probably man Ingram properly. Um, Also, I would probably say that in hindsight, looking back, I probably should have taken the Seattle offensive line instead of Cincinnati, just because in looking at what I'm doing, I mean, for what it's worth, I took Cincinnati to not have a 38 guy, but now looking at my week one matchup versus versus split or week 1 or 2 versus Madtown, that 69 HP guy would have come in handy. But unfortunately, the fastest guy on the line is that 38 HP guy, so that kind of sucks. But I think you're right. I think Bo is, smart. He plays well, and he'll make this work. And I think that he will. He can even run the two running back offense, and just every run plays and is there. So I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was just tough to kind of put him ahead of some of these other guys who've done it in this league. So, which brings us to our next guy who he's tied with, which maybe is a surprise. I got Gats coming in tied for third. I mean, this is 2 seasons in a row where I'm picking against Gats. He didn't have his best draft. He was again sort of like, I think he was sick for like over a week, so he kind of missed some picks, similar to season two. But it's almost like his season one team where he has this two-headed monster of Fitzpatrick and Keenum. He did get a 63 MS running back in David Johnson. But the one pick that I was kind of pissed off about because it kind of ruined my plans was the wide receiver pick in Adam Thielen. It was almost unnecessary given the way he drafts. It didn't make any sense. So I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. But I took Henry Ellard and I think Thurman Thomas the one season in HSTL, and he was giving me crap about it, saying that it's really not needed. And he did the same thing, I guess, in this draft. But really, his defense is not really what is up to snuff for him. He doesn't have a great defensive back. They're solid guys, slower. His linebacker's fast, but doesn't have much INT. So defensively, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. His offense, I think, is going to be tough to stop because really, what are you going to do? He's going to out juke you with his running back, or he's going to JJ you with Adam Thielen. So, he's not going to have a problem scoring the ball. I think defense is probably where he may struggle a little bit, especially going up against someone like Brewdog, who has like some monster receivers with this quarterback.
Yeah, I would say that he could probably get carved up on D, to be honest. If anyone can get stops with crappy defense, it's definitely Gats. But I think that, with the strong passing attack specifically, he's going to have trouble against. He can kind of make anything happen against running backs, clearly. On offense, I think he's completely fine, simply because he's got an embarrassment of riches. And if anyone can make that slower PS work, it's him. So he just play conditions with that, probably throw Fitzy in there at average, and then Keenum in there if he goes in there at good, and what have you. So I think offensively, he'll be tough to stop. But defensively, he might be able to make it work, but it's going to be tough going, especially against teams like Brew, which we're going to get to, or anyone else who has even a team like you, where you're just got the high PC to the high reception. So I would say that's going to be tough for him. So
yeah, I did scrim him a couple times. We played 2 games, and he did have a little trouble stopping me at some points. We split 1-1, but I mean, I think he's going to be fine. I think he will probably admit he hasn't been playing his best online. recently, so I think that probably played a little bit into this rating. So we'll see if he's able to get back to like his top player status. Because if he's playing at his peak, I think this team is more than enough for him to win the division.
Well, I mean, it just boils down to he can't get stopped on offense, and maybe with what he has, he shouldn't get stopped, but he can't get stopped. That's the basic gist because he's not going to get many stops on D unless whoever he's playing just he has good play calling or whatever. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. All right. So moving on, second place, I got Nas coming in. So he came in 13th place in the overall rating. He has Joe Flacco, who's sort of like a poor man's Matthew Stafford, um, who he had in season 2, in which he won the division. So Nas kind of did what Player did last year. He went with all defense with his first 2 picks. He took Chris Harris, who's like the Deion Sanders of this ROM, and then he got Terrell Suggs, who's like obviously with Player last year, who's like a Singletary type of guy. He has a great defensive lineman with 69 HP and Myles Garrett, and then a solid drone and Bethea with a 63 INT. So his defense is probably one of the best defenses he's going to get in any of the leagues that he plays in. Having Harris at DB2 with like Myles Garrett on defensive line breaking through is going to make his like DB2 defense, even better. You could argue his offense is not the greatest. With Flacco, he does have a 50 MS running back. Sanders is a 50 MS receiver with low reception, and then Tyrell Williams is a solid wide receiver too. He did get stuck with the Houston O line. Now, looking at the numbers there, you may say, hey, that O line isn't that bad. There may be some others that might be worse overall, but just remember that this offensive line is super slow. I think they're all 25 MS except for the one guy who's 31 MS, and that's the 38 HP guy. So if he puts him at right tackle, any linebacker 4 is going to just destroy them. So it's a matter of whether he's going to give up field position or if he's going to just suck it up and take the pressure with a 6 MS quarterback. So we'll see how Nas does it. Obviously, like we just said before, we were talking about prime. Nas obviously is one of the best, at throwing the ball, and I think he's going to probably be okay. Anybody else, I think, would probably be a nightmare for them, but I think Nas can handle it.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the OL with Flacco because I mean Nas is really good at moving around with QB, but it's going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be, everyone like who has like Marino right on OG basically is like, oh, this is great because I mean Miami has the best offensive line in the OG round, so it's like, he's protected, but I mean Flacco, this is basically like having one of those 6 MS guys, that you have with a terrible, terrible offensive line and. I don't know. It's going to be tough, and I think that he can make it work. I wish, with the 75 passing speed, I wish he had a faster wide receiver, or faster than 50. I wish he had like a 56 guy, like a Watkins kind of type, even though you have the wrong label there. But like you said, on defense, he's going to be fine. And something that, key point here is that Nas is known for his diving from DB2 and, and whatever he's doing with the run 3 sweep and whatever else he's doing. But with, Garrett breaking through, he can simply he doesn't have to dive anymore. He can just engage, and then if it gets popped off, Garrett will be there to kind of help clean up. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's a Nas team, but it's definitely this is gonna be a rough Nas team. Like, I think he might face some serious issues, with offensively potentially with this line. But you know what? He knew it was happening, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think this obviously is not a typical like Nas great built, well built team. I think I pretty much put him in second primarily because of just the way he's been playing, just dominating this league as well as others. And I think he has enough on defense where he's going to get more stops than maybe he might get in other leagues. And I think offensively he's good enough where he's going to be able to just outskill people as far as getting scores.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but
So
it's going to be fun to see because I think it's an interesting team that he built on offense.
yeah, interesting. I don't think he would take this team obviously to the War Games, but what I will say though is that Randy Wags said that Nas with PS is tough. Fun fact: the first time Nas had a high PS QB was one of those seasons in HSTL where I don't know if you were around or not yet in HSTL. where we lumped the QBs together. So some people got stuck with crappy QBs, and he had Billy Joe Tolliver that season for the first time because he couldn't pick anybody else because all the 44 PC guys were gone. It was the first time he ever played with a high PS QB in a league. He told me, he was talking to me about it, and he was so thankful for that season because it completely changed his viewpoint on the high PS thing. And if you no one remembers, he started that season like 2-6 or 2-5, and then he just strung together a whole bunch of wins and still won the division or came in second and made the playoffs. But it's interesting going from there. This was just a year ago, because we go through so many HSTL seasons to now, and now he like purposely chose a high PS QB is really interesting for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I think didn't he have Elway one season where he won the Super Bowl? I think he won like 15-1 or
Well,
something. Or
now
was
he's
it?
doing it
I
on
think.
purpose. I mean, he did it one season, realized he got used to it, realized what he could do with it, much like Gats. I mean, if you've ever seen Gats play in a tournament and call whatever and like basically go 100% completion percentage for 250 yards with Tolliver, it's a thing of beauty what Gats has been able to do, for example, with those high PS QBs. So, I mean, after he did that season and what it taught him, he literally said that it's completely changed the way he plays, and as you just mentioned, now he almost does it on purpose.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the best that's out there right now. So I can never doubt him in any season. I
You know,
just can't imagine him ever having a losing season.
yeah,
Just with
that
with how good he is,
well, it's
it's like
interesting. You
impossible.
should get the notes from Brew because there was a seat like pretty much halfway through my HSTL reign. Like I got into season 33, I think it was around season 38 or season 39. All of a sudden, Nas went from going under 500 every season to just being the Nas he is today. So it's kind of interesting to see how the switch flipped for him. But
Yep.
it's gonna
Okay.
be it's gonna be interesting to see what Nas can do with this, and yeah, it's gonna be great.
All right. So that leaves us with our final team. We got Brewdog coming in the top spot. Looking at the team here, I know you played him some scrims. You can get into that a little bit if you want, but he came in second place in the overall rating. It's very similar to his season one team where obviously he dominated for most of the season until he lost in the Super Bowl. But he has his good QB, he has his 45 running back, but then he just loaded up. AJ Green obviously is a stud. He's a step down below, I guess, Odell Beckham, but getting Larry Fitzgerald, who's the 81 reception, he is slow, but that's also maybe a perfect complement for having AJ Green. Apologies for the label again. I have AJ Green at running back. Not sure why. His O line obviously is not the greatest, but you had them last season, and you were fine with that.
Plus, they come with
Defensively, it might
plus
not.
real
Yeah.
quick. The O line comes with Kyle Rudolph, who's a 63 reception guy as well, and also
Oh yeah,
a
and yeah,
bigger
I think
guy.
he's what
So
56 reception.
yeah, he's got receptions all over the place.
Yeah. So I mean, defensively, it might not be a typical strength as Brew's prior seasons, but Tyrann Mathieu is like one of those funky rated guys where he has a high rushing speed. His like RP I think is like 31, but I think his rushing speed is high, which may make him faster. Um, Amos is a solid DB as well. He also has high rushing speed. I think it's like 44, so he plays a little bit faster than that. Telvin Smith is a good nickel linebacker. Trevathan is a solid linebacker drone. So Brew has what he needs on defense. Offensively, I mean, you want to talk about your scrims with him. I think you mentioned briefly a little bit. I mean, it was just tough to stop with all the CCs and all the passing.
Yeah. So quick update. Breaking news. Turbo lost to Thule in Thunderdome. So big breaking news
Oh
just came
wow!
out. So Thule making an online run in his return. Good for him. Big win there against Turbo for him. So just for what it's worth. Now just going to my scrims. Um, Something else that Brew is saying in the chat is that three of his DBs are 63 HP. He's got a ton of HP on his DBs. So I played him, right? So let's go defensively first. He's got Matthew, or is it Matthew? I don't know. Whatever it is.
Matthew.
Matthew, he's all over the place. Granted, he and I both didn't have the condition checker on, so we don't know who was at what, and maybe he was in good or whatever, but he was all over the place. So I mean, that Matthew could be like a one man show for Brew. He was literally all over the place with him, and then so that was good. So Brew can definitely do work with that. Offensively, so we obviously when we're playing, we're not going to punt, so we're just always going for it. And I'll tell you, what you can just play perfect defense, literally perfect defense against these guys, and with the reception, it's just going to happen, and things are going to happen. I don't have a bad, defensive backfield, so I mean, it was tougher for him against me, maybe potentially than it was, against some other people he was scrimming. But I'll tell you, it's going to be scary for people. This is going to be one of those. I'm not going to call it back and B because it's not like he's just bombing the ball because he's not. What he was doing against me, which I'm not going to give it away, on the stream or on the show, and everyone can just kind of play him. It was something. So he definitely has a plan in place. I think it's going to work, and I would be, especially if you have a bad secondary, be really scared of this team. But I mean, he's got his defense is sneaky good, even though it doesn't look like it here. And I think his team is probably the best on the round. I don't care that it's second overall. I think it's the best team on the round. So for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, given his skill level as well, I mean, I think in all of his knowledge, I think really it's a tough team. I mean, Fitzgerald really puts it over the edge because now, I mean, that's like a bailout option where he could just throw it to a covered guy. He could be covered, and it's going to be a CC, almost every single time, just given that. So, in past seasons, he had pretty much a one-man show in Beckham. Now he has Fitzgerald as another potential weapon. Fitzgerald went in round 3 last year, and I think he got Fitzy, I think either in round 5 or 6 this draft. So it was a great value. A lot of guys maybe were scared off away by the 38 S. I mean, he was one guy I was hoping to get later on in the draft, but Brew ended up taking him, a few picks before mine. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's the best team overall. I think he's going to be the team to beat, and we'll see if he's able to do it again.
Yeah, and I will say too that the 6MS, granted, because I had Watt breaking through and stuff, and the 6MS just because of his safety blanket of Green and Fitzgerald doesn't matter. So he's going to be just fine. The 6MS is not going to matter for what it's worth.
Yeah, I just wonder how it's going to be with two-point conversions, just because with a slower running back and a slow QB. But I mean, he can always just throw it to Fitzgerald, who's standing still, and probably complete it. So I mean, that may like negate maybe a little bit of the speed issues that he may have, like with those two.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything else away because that's doing a disservice to
Yeah,
Bruce. So I'm not going to say anything more. But
yeah,
I would say that he's going to be just fine. I mean, and I think just because of the strength of his team and who he is as a player, that him winning this division and maybe the whole freaking thing is probably likely.
yeah. I'd be curious to see if like he picks maybe his season one over this one in the War Games if he makes the playoffs this season. Just because I mean I think they're similarly built. And I'll be curious to see what he does and whether he favors maybe more of a defensive team, which is more offensive. So that's going to be
Well,
interesting as
for the
well.
record, just to go over that platinum rule that Randy Wags found in the small print, he actually just has to finish with an above 500 record. He doesn't have to make the playoffs because he's in
Yeah.
platinum.
Yep. Special privileges. It's the way we roll. So, all right. So that wraps it up, I think. So again, just to kind of recap, we got Brewdog in first, we got Nas second, Gats and Bo tied for third, and they got Randy Wags in fifth. So there you have it. I think that's all I have for today. I mean, I think it was fun doing this. You know, it should be a fun season. I hope guys stay engaged. I'll try to do more hype stuff when now that Thunderdome is going to be over. I'm hoping to maybe add more flavor to this season. I kind of dropped the ball a little bit in season 2 with just being so busy with Thunderdome and getting that kind of moving along. So it's gonna be a fun season. I think there are a lot of good teams. No teams that really stand out as being very very poor. So I think there should be some good balance all across the league.
Yep, I would agree with that. I think it's gonna be a good season. I'm excited for my team. I hope I don't let myself down, and I'm not excited for the breakover of the summer because I don't play it as much as everyone else. But whatever. And I would say that War, thank you for everything you do. You are a god among insects, and I appreciate it. You make me look very bad as the HSTL commissioner, but what are you gonna do? I'm gonna stick to my guns and just suck compared to you. And then just a quick programming note for everybody. Uh, right after this, I'm going to stream probably in the next like 10 minutes. I'm going to, get a drink of water. I'm going to stream Stall Talk at Madtown HSTL Divisional Playoffs. And then at some point this week, because we're going to go time to the HSTL draft tomorrow and then Tuesday with a radically different draft format for season 50. I sent it to Viking Mode today as he was on vacation, just because he hadn't seen it and he just was shell shocked. So that that it just that's kind of cool to get that reaction. But radically different format, only 4 rounds. Hoping to get War on there, and maybe we'll see who else we can get on a review for that on maybe Thursday night, talking about the draft review and the format and what have you. What if War's not available, I'm sure I can find somebody who wants to talk about it. And that's pretty much all I have. We're gonna cut. We're not gonna extend this any further because there's no reason to. And that's all I got. So War, always a pleasure, buddy. I hope you'll still do shows with me about stuff, even though you're not part of HSTL anymore. You idiot.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm happy to do it. We'll see about this week. It might be a little bit tough for me because I have to do like a Thunderdome. I think I'm going to target to have Thunderdome completed in the next few days. So I may have to ask you if you want to do commentate the championship games, if you would, and maybe do a quick preview as well. So I kind of have to kind of see how it all maps out with like how that ends. And obviously, I have a family. I have to make sure I don't take up too much of my time with Tecmo, so I might have to prioritize the Thunderdome stuff first, and then maybe next season HSDL. But we'll see how things go.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'll definitely do a quick preview, or if you want, we can do like the review. We can skip the predictions, just do a review of the draft kind of thing, or maybe I'll actually just steal your template and just do predictions. I don't know, and we can just make it shorter or something. But we'll figure it out. We'll talk, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Or whatever you're doing. War, thank you again for everything you do. And we'll be back multiple times, it sounds like, in the next couple of weeks to go over some stuff and so on and so forth. So without further ado, guys, that is all for the show, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Hoff.
Thank you, buddy.
Have a good one, guys. Yeah, later.